ya YouTubers? Tez Man here, bringing you another episode of Fantasy Grounds from the ground up, I guess. I don't know, I still haven't, these are all back to back, so I haven't officially come up with a name. But let's just call it that, from the ground up, because that's a series I did do. And I need to grab a drink real quick. In the last episode, we talked about the dice tower and how cool it is. We talked about all these buttons up here, including the important ones, the combat tracker, the party sheet, and the awesome one, the coloring of your die. We also talked about effects, settings, and then we talked about the library button and how to load modules and how to use the library and configure it so your button's here. In this episode, hopefully, we'll talk about all of these buttons right here. And this might be the last episode or whatever of the getting to know the interface and stuff. I think this is part 3. So let's get into it. So we've kind of touched on characters, but not entirely. I just want to point out some things about it, and then we kind of can move on. So character is where you select your character. When you join on a server, only characters that are available to, or that you actually own, actually no, the ones you own, well, only the ones that you have available to you, including the one you own, because I believe when we first get on, it would still have Mohawk here, are ones that you can select. And as you can see, there's actually considerably more characters that are actually here. We have Penny here, we have Marianne, we have Ramad, we have Rexus, and I think that's it. But as you can see, there are more characters than what you actually see. Those are just the ones that are available to you. Other people will not see Mohawk because Mohawk is actually claimed by Tazzy. So let's go ahead and continue on. One thing I haven't mentioned, one thing you do a lot in this is you resize windows, and you can see it's just standard where you can resize going to the corner. However, there is a hidden kind of option. If you hold control while somewhere in the window, you can actually resize a window just by holding control and dragging the mouse where you want it. So that works with every one of the windows that aren't locked. This window is currently locked, so it's not going to do it. But windows that are not locked, you can do it. So let's go ahead and talk about this and get to know this. So if we have a boatload of characters, then you can also always use the search, and you can't really see it because of my theme, well, what I call theme. Well, you can't see it here anyway. You can't change it. But there's a little magnifying glass there. Anywhere you see that, either you can click it and it'll show more information, or you can click where the box is next to it and you can search. So let's say this was just a giant list and we wanted Derby Fam, my daughter. So if I type Derby, and let's just double check, make sure it's case sensitive, Derby. If I type Derby, yeah, it's not case sensitive. So it pulls her up as the only one. I think you can maybe also do classes. I don't know, like he's a druid. Let's try and type druid, D-R-U-I-D. I don't know if it goes into the character sheet. No, it doesn't. So it's just basically the information right here, Derby Fam. I don't think it'll do like level, Level 1. Nope. So it's basically just the names. So if you want to import, like if your DM says, okay, or if someone gives you a character sheet outside of it and you want to import it, you can always click on import character, and then you'll get this little window here. You click the, oh, actually, I guess you can't import it here unless you have it already on your system. Yeah. I'm not way too used to what you guys see when you join the table opposed to what I see, because when I click import character, I get a little window popped up. I also have the option to export characters and things like that. If I want to create a new character, I just click add item, and now you can see there's a new character. It's unnamed, and technically it thinks I own both of them. And now if we go in here, we will see there is a new one. Probably this one maybe? Can I delete it? Nope, I can close that window. I don't think I can delete it. However, as the GM, I can delete it. So I can allow you to create, clear owner. Let's delete the item. I don't need this one either. Delete item. Barbary Emperor Man, Penny Mohawk. Okay. So I can create a new character, and we're gonna get into that that's gonna be a whole maybe series in and of itself, because that's the meat and potatoes of this program is getting your character created and all linked up and fun stuff like that. So right now we just have Mohawk. If we double click this, is it single or double? Let's double check. We can single click and get Mohawk to come up. You can see his stats. You have all these tabs off to the side, his skills, his abilities, his inventory, notes, log is if you're like in a adventures league, and then actions. These are what he can do, spells and such. So that pretty much wraps up the character selection. The next one is notes. Now, notes is a pretty nice one too. The other thing you can do is anytime you see this little plus minus, it will actually allow you to edit the list. Once again, we have a search, we have an all or shared. So if we click this little plus minus, we get a couple extra options. Well, in this case, we just get one. We get add item. So this is to create a new note. I can come up here and say SEC secret note, and I need an E at the end of that. You can see owner is Tazzy. It's not public. And I can say this is some STOR story content. I can't see. And then I can lock it so that it doesn't get edited on accident. Now, this secret note is only available to Tazzy. Tazzy is the owner, and Tazzy is the only one that can see it, aside from, of course, the GM. GM can always see everything. He's the GM after all. However, other players cannot see this. They cannot see Tazzy's note, right? Unless Tazzy wants to have a shared note, we could come in here, we can add another note, and we could say SHARE shared note. If I do any misspellings, I apologize in advance. I more than likely will. I'm not the fastest typer. And say this is for all. And then we can lock that one, and we can make this one public by, oh whoops, it's locked. We can make this public by doing that. Now you'll notice it has a little P on it. Now other people can see this note. However, I do not believe they can edit this note. They can't modify it. They can just see what you've typed. If you want to quickly, if you don't want to click in here, click the lock, click the public. You can always come in here and click the P directly. Okay. As a GM, you can click that P directly and unshare it. As a user, you can't do that. So you have to come in here, uncheck the lock, and relock it. And you can keep editing the notes. You can have as many as you want. So this is really good for, you know, if you meet, for example, an NPC, you can go jot down, oh, this is so-and-so, they live here, you know, this is their quest, blah, blah, blah. You can add whatever you want, and then you can have it be shared things that you want to share with others. You can also have secret ones. Now, another thing a GM can do, for example, is if I have a note that is not public, and I only want to share it with one person, let's just go ahead and go in here. So one, I can go, by the way, these, once again, delete things. So as you notice, there's also an important message here um, that that Tazzy did not see. As a GM, I can take this important message, drop it on top of Mohawk, and now if we go in here, I believe, you can see that there's an important message that is shared with Tazzy, but it's not owned by Tazzy. So Tazzy can't unlock it, but it's only shown to Tazzy, not the other players. So other players will not see this, I believe. That's what I've been led to believe. I haven't actually loaded up like 50 different things and made sure, but I'm pretty sure, because see, this doesn't say it's public, no one else can see it. It's also not owned by Tazzy. So and then Tazzy, if they ever want, they can't even get rid of it. They have to ask the GM to get rid of it for them. But this is good, like if the GM creates notes and stuff and says, okay, this is special secret goals or secret ambitions of Tazzy. This is, and they can actually drag and drop those on each of the characters. As you can see here, it does say it is S, and it says with Tazzy. I think if I go into it, it doesn't actually tell me there. But I think if you mouse over, it'll actually say everyone that's shared with. If I don't want to share with her anymore, bam, there we go. No longer shared, no shared for you. So anyway, that is kind of the notes, really simple. The next one is images and maps. Now, you can see we have a public map that has been shared with us, and that is because right here, and you'll see the GM definitely sees way, way, way more, but you can see here that I have a map that is shared. This is so your characters can see things, right? So if we come into this map, whoops, you can see that, well, I'm middle clicking to drag it around. Once again, I can hold Control to resize the window, and then I can middle click that, or I can right click for options. I can left click to move the entire window, or you can also click in this little circle thing and it will kind of do the same as middle clicking, but it's kind of weird. I like just middle clicking. Also, you'll notice when I hit the Control, it changes to binoculars, and that's the one that will do that. So here you can see we have a little adventure. Now this is the one we were just looking at the other episode where Goblin 3 got killed. You'll notice that the tokens have little colors on them. Now, they're not always this ginormous. This might be because this map is actually a pretty small map and we're just zoomed way into it. But we can see the thing. Now you'll notice that I can't see anything else. I can see like a little yellow thing here and a little yellow thing here. If I go to the DM's map, you'll see I can actually see quite a bit more. I can actually see there's a trap right here. I can see there's 3 more goblins in this very room, and I think that's Mohawk. I thought there's another trap somewhere. Goblin. There's another trap somewhere, I haven't put it. But I can actually see the whole picture, and it's dim. As the GM, I can also I can show areas by clicking on the mask icon, and I can say, okay, you're in this room now. And if we go over to Tazzy, you'll now see that room shows up. And then if I hold Shift, or maybe not Shift. Shift makes it so I can unhide certain shapes. If I hold Alt, I think it is, I can get, nope, it's Control. I gotta remember the key. Control, there we go. Blue box means that we can hide stuff. We can also hold Shift and Alt, I believe, and get a blue circle thing. And now if we go look at Tazzy's, there's a giant hole in the floor. That's kind of showing you that you can use what is it, line of sight, not line of sight, just masking, fog of war, whatever you want to call it. But on purpose I show these two because they're actual doors and I want you to be able to see them. That's pretty much the map thing. You, as a player, really can't add maps. You can, you know, look at if there's any other maps available to you, and it doesn't look like there are. Um, you'd be able to see those. So the only map available to you is the one that is being shared. There's also tables. Tables are for special things. For example, if you are rolling a background and you just cannot think of a flaw for your alakite, right? You can actually come in here and you can see you have this table. So it's 1 through 6. So you roll a 6-sided die. And if you just click this roll, bam, there you go, 4. And it even tells you what your thing is. I'm inflexible in my thinking. Or I believe you can drag it from there and drop it in there. This is probably a part you can't actually, you can probably do it there too. But this is like if the GM was saying a 4-sided die, and this, you can actually configure it. So not a lot you can do here other than actually roll things and see what it is. And we're going to talk about this in detail later on as well. Once again, cannot unlock it. There are no notes set up with this one. So there we go. Moving on to story. This is parts of the story that your GM is actually sharing with you. As you can see, this only has has information on those spell effect things. There's no part of the actual story being shared with this. This is just telling you the thing. So in a spell, if you see 60 in parentheses, that's saying range is 60. If it's S itself, T is touch, C is concentration, B means it can be used as a bonus action, R is reaction, RIT means it's a ritual, $ means there's a component cost, SD means it's shift drag. So you hold down shift and you drag it on top of something. So that's that. And then of course there's extras for it and all that. So that's story. As your GM, maybe we'll release portions of the story to you that you can see, that maybe, you know, let you know what this city is or whatever, if they have it. Not too often do I see story being something you actually get access to. Next will be quests. This will be a list of quests. Once again, I rarely see this one being shared with people. And as you can see, you don't really have modification rights to it. So if there are quests that the GM shares with you, you might be able to get their information there. NPC is NPCs that you're allowed to see. This is really handy, for example, a druid. So like if I have shape-shifting or what's called wild shape, I can look at what the stats of a boar are. So if I shapeshift into a boar, I take on all of its things, including its hit points, its intelligence, and its things and everything about it. So these are really handy for that. They can be a little dangerous because some people might go, oh wait, we're fighting a rat. And they'll go, oh, they only have 1 hit point. That's called metagaming. You don't want to do that. So if you're not a druid or you don't have a specific reason for getting in here, it's best probably not to come into here because you might get information that makes it so, oh, well, oh, they're immune to this. And maybe your character wouldn't know that. So best to not get in this one when you're in the game unless you're told to by your GM. Next is encounters. Once again, here we have Arctic Dragon, which is the young white dragon that we're fighting right now. Right now it says he's a faction dragon. And this is shared to you. Just, I don't think it actually gives you information. I can see unable to open window because module containing link is open. Check your activity. So you don't have the link for that one. So that's actually something out of the DMG, or not the DMG, the monster manual. You might sometimes be able to see a picture of it or something, but really you probably won't go into counters too much either. Normally the GM will not share those encounters because it'll tell you exactly how many mobs there are, and if some of them are hidden, it will kind of give that away, spoiling it. Items, on the other hand, is something that you might actually get into. quite a bit. So if you go to a store and you're like, oh, I want to buy healing potions, HEAL, right? You can get a potion of healing. You can get the information by clicking the eye. You can see it costs 20 bucks, or I mean 50 gold pieces, and its weight is 0.5 pounds. And then it also tells you a little bit about it, that it regens 2d4 plus 2 for drinking, and it takes an action to drink it. So if you're in a battle and you're going to drink a potion, that's your action. You do not get to hit the monsters. Then it also tells you here about the healer's kit, so on and so forth. Say you go into a place, and this, once again, this is stuff you'll ask your DM and say, hey, is this available? And they'll say, sure. If it is, you can also drag this stuff onto your character sheet in the inventory section, and it will add it to your inventory. There's also armor in its own little thing to tell you all about the armor. So like if you want to get studded leather armor, you can see it's 45 gold pieces. It gives you an AC of 12 plus whatever your AC already is. It uses your dex. So this means that like if I have a +4 for dex, that means my AC will actually be able to go up to 16. It tells you, for example, with padded armor, if you're wearing that, you're at disadvantage. Remember, we went over that. That means if I'm trying to stealth, it means I'm at disadvantage. It tells you the weight, and then it goes all the way down the list. So if we want to click on this, we can get more information about it. We can say it's basically all that stuff with additional text at the bottom. Once again, with the shield, we know we can get a +2 to our AC, and it costs 10 gold pieces. And then you can click on that once again, see that stuff down there. And you can do the same thing with weapons. So here you can see the simple weapons, melee weapons that are all simple. You can see how much they cost, what damaging and type of damage they do, the properties. If it says it's finesse, that means it can be thrown, or it can be, wait, is finesse? I always get these confused. So I think versatile means you can either use strength or dex. You can choose which one you want to use, I believe. Finesse means that it can be thrown. Two-handed means you have to hold two hands. Light, I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember. Heavy. I think the light, heavy, and things like that are more along the lines what type of race can hold it. But anyway, you can see here you have all your simple melee weapons, simple ranged weapons, then your martial weapons, your martial ranged weapons, and then you have hooves, horns, and talons. I guess if you have hooves, you can bludgeon. I guess this would be the type of person you are. You could always say, oh, I'm going to use my horns. That's kind of cool. I never noticed that part before. Or you have here unarmed strike with unarmed strike with a monk. They get a 1d4, where unarmed strike with others just gets 1 damage bludgeoning. So monk gets an advantage there by getting to actually roll a die. So you have those. You can sort things. So like if I wanted to look for something that is considered, oops, oh, I don't have any options for that type. If I want to look for something that is, say, a tool, I can sort by tools. We can go back up here. So you can do sorts and stuff like that. You can you can say, show me stuff that's only in Xanthar's guide. Now, just because it says they're in Xanthar's guide doesn't mean they're also not in the other guides. So, because they might also be there and it's the same information. So there's items for you. Oh, we're at 24 minutes. We got to hurry. Items. Parcels. This is one you probably will not have much to do with. So this is what I was talking about with the party sheet. Parcels are kind of like collections of what you get for killing a winning an encounter or completing a quest. You might get a parcel that has 1000 XP, 2 healing potions, a +1 sword. And so those will be in here, and then the DM can always drag those into the party sheet where you guys can divvy them out amongst each other. Background. Now these are about creating your character. So here you can see are the backgrounds from the books that we have available to us. It looks like just the player's handbook. So for example, if you are going to be a criminal, let's do criminal. You can see that this is what a criminal looks like. Obviously that looks like a criminal rogue tiefling. You can get information. You have a table here, so if you want to have a criminal speciality, you can actually roll on the table and say, I am a highway robber. And then you just kind of have to decide what that means to yourself. Scrolling down, you have your proficiencies, where your skills are proficient, what tools you know, proficient in. You also have a criminal contact. This will tell you a little bit more about that. Here's your suggested characteristics, your flaw, and so on and so forth. So those tables, once again, you don't really need to go there because all your tables are also right here. So that's basically your backgrounds. And like I said, all of them have these sorting things where I could say, only show me the player's handbook, only show me Xanthar's guide, or you can say, show me all. Or if there's custom ones, they might be in new. It just depends. And then, of course, you have your sort. So we say noble. And now only noble and noble knight show up, right? Next one is class. These are your classes. Once again, you will notice, depending on what things you have loaded, Xanthar's Guide has a barbarian. They're pretty much exactly the same. It's just the book they're coming from. So if we look at the image of the barbarian here, is it different? Probably, because it's a different book. But most of the other things are pretty much going to be the same, unless you're a specific type of barbarian. So like these things down here, like your table of your leveling up and stuff. You can see they're pretty much reckless, dangered sense, primal rate, yeah, primal path, blah blah blah. So they're pretty much the same. There might be differences here and there, but you can see like your weapon, you get a great axe or any martial weapon. So that's the same. Here you get a hand axe or two simple weapons, two hand axes or two simple weapons. That's the same. Explorer's pack or javelins, 4 javelins. Yep. So it's going to be pretty much the same. Where you might see differences might be where it's talking something like the primal path. Here you have Berserker and Totem Wear. Here you have Ancestral Guardian, Storm Herald, and Zealot. So this is subclasses for, or I guess subclasses, primal paths for your barbarian. So they're pretty much the same as far as the starting point, but they might change a little bit. So you can always look into both of them, see which one actually is best for you. But you can see what book they're coming from right here. So there's, looks like in this case, there's like 2 of every one of them. So that's your classes. Once again, you can sort. You cannot add them yourself or anything like that. Let's see, feats. Feats, when you hit level 4, depending on what you choose, you might get to choose a feat. And like I said, anytime you see these things, you just drag them onto your character sheet and it'll automatically add them for you. You can comb through these things and see what they are. Second chance tells you exactly what it does. It'll also put these in the sheets and it will give you a little link with them, which is kind of nice. Races, once again, races are the same. Everything looks like it comes from the player's handbook. If we did say the Eberron one, I think that adds like Warforged and things along those lines. Oh, we're almost out of time. That's races. Skills. This really isn't that useful, if you ask me, because all the skills, I mean, so in your character sheet, you have the skills tab, and all the skills are listed here, and the descriptions of said skills are listed here. So it's the exact same thing. I really don't think, I mean, this would be one that you could say, I don't even need that in the player creation list of buttons, because it's really everything that's in here. Um, and then we have spells. Now spells is where it's going to get pretty thick, pretty fast. So this is why we actually loaded up those Rob Twee stuff. So for example, we saw that it said, those things said, like, if it has parentheses, this means it's a 10-foot range. This, I think that's a $sign or an S, which means it's semantic. You have to do gestures or whatever. R means, I don't remember now. But you have all these different things. So it's best if you have the Rob Twee stuff to only do his, because they're going to be all duplicates. I mean, if we go look at the all, you'll see like acid and acid 30, alarm and alarm RIT 30, alert, self alert. So almost everything's going to be duplicated. But if you use his, it gives special other things to it. So you'll see here, actually I'm not sure if you see it here, but when you drag them onto your character sheet, it has extra things that make it so they function just a little bit better than the standard stuff. Once again, if for example you're playing a wizard, you can come down here and choose wizard eventually, wizard, and it will now show only wizard spells. Let's say you only have level 1 spells. Now it's only showing the level 1 spells. Let's say it's the cantrips. There's all your cantrips. So you can sort it and figure out exactly what you want. You can always click on the eye, see what it actually says. It tells you who can do it. It tells you what they do. It tells you how they increase the range. The V means that it is is that vocal, I think? Vocal and somatic. So you have to use your voice and gesture with your hands or something to make a magic. And finally, we did it. Well, we're a little bit over what I wanted to be, but we did it. Tokens. Our poor Mohawk here does not have a token. He doesn't look like anyone. So these are shared tokens from our GM. You can see here. If we have tokens ourselves, we might be able to use them. If we have modules that the GM's sharing with us, we can get them from there, or we can actually go to the store. We're just going to take a look inside of the monster manual. And we're only being shared with a dragon, so no, we're not going to do that. So go here. Let's do Lost Mines of Phandelver. So let's just use the goblin here. So if we drag that on top of here, oh, whoops, so on top of here, now our little guy, our gremlin, will now have a little picture on his map. Let's see if it, I don't know if it draws it right away or if he has to be re-dragged on. Or does that use this one? No, it shouldn't use that one. So if we go, let's just see how this works real quick. So now if we go into Combat Tracker, we can get rid of Mohawk. We can re-drag him on, and I think, yep, there we go. So now he has a actual token, and it didn't, well, the token's exactly the same as these other ones, but you'll notice he has a little green square around him, meaning he's not a bad guy. So if we go down here now, you'll see, there we are. Mohawk has a picture. If we want to add a picture to this, we can actually click on this one, and let's do, these are shared ones. Once again, these are things we could do. Droop. And there we go. Now it actually has a token up, or a portrait. So we can have him up here, and then we have his little token down here that looks just like his cousins. So I think that's about it. We went 5 minutes over, but I think we completed everything there is to do with Fantasy Grounds interface. So in the next episode, what we will probably do is actually create a character. And if you guys want to put some suggestions in the comments, because this will be the first episode that is not back to back to back to back. So 3 back to backs. But if you want to put a comment down in the comment section down below, I'll check it out, and maybe we'll make a character that you're wanting us to make, and we'll show you kind of the basics of that. I think it'll be kind of fun. Thank you guys once again so much for joining me. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, oh, by the way, I never told you this. To exit, right click, click on the X, and then you can exit program or return to the launcher. Returning to the launcher takes you back here. Now I have to restart my outro. And then here is this one. Boop. Go ahead and close that, close that, close that. Exit program. All right, so, well, I guess I should add something left up to look pretty. Like I said, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my Discord and my other channels. And don't forget about my great big game giveaway. When we hit 1,000 subs, we're giving away 57 Steam games. That's a 5 and a 7. That's right. That's pretty epic. That's 1 out of every 20 subs will get a Steam game. So that's pretty cool. That's about it. Yeah, that's it. So until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.